We've got a super thanks from Tom's third kid, which is like the Thanksgiving sequel. We skipped right from number 2 and went to the third. I noticed last year that Mike McCarthy holds his play sheet when the camera can see it. All his plays listed by down and distance. 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 1, down in yardage. He has no creativity based on how the game is going or what is working. Just goes off his little script. There was, I forget what game it was last year. You could like read the whole thing because they got an up-close look at it. And it is kind of sorted by like situations, which is fine. But that is exactly how you get into the forced play-action deep shot that never works for this team. I do agree the lack of creativity is very telling from this coaching staff. And that one came in via Super Thanks. It's a feature here on YouTube. Allows you to donate outside of live videos. You can edit your message, send in whatever you want to send in. Whether it's FU Tom, as long as it's not overly mean, we'll do it. Hit that little heart icon, edit your message, send in your Super Thanks. Reese's Football says Ashton Jeanty or bust. I don't know if you could ever be running back or bust. Like, I would acknowledge that for Travis Hunter. The season's not over yet, so I'm not going to finish my board or anything. I would safely say, minimum, he's going to be a top 10 player in this class for me. Now, does he finish 5? Does he finish 7? Is he 4? That's kind of up for debate. Travis Hunter's going to be number 1, barring something catastrophic. What you have to figure out is what the conversation should have been back in the Zeke Elliott, Jalen Ramsey draft, or even what we had with the Bijan draft. Is he the best player on your board? If he is, okay, you're drafting BPA there. Now, the value of the back is probably not as high as the value of an edge rusher. And if you have the same grade of an edge rusher and the back, you should probably take the edge rusher, just as an example. In this case, it's Abdul Carter from Penn State. If you've got a higher graded back and a lower graded edge, should you be taking the edge in that scenario? So I say that all to be it's not supposed to be a black and white conversation. It's supposed to operate in the gray world of everything. And there are scenarios, depending on where you're drafting, who's available, he'd be the best player on my board. There will be scenarios, depending on where you're drafting, who's on the board, that he's not going to be. And until you see how the draft plays out, good conversation, won't commit either way. So are you okay, and do you want to draft a running back in round 1? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, let me know. Or go vote. Y for yes, N for no. Mark, can't believe we could not trade Zach or Tank. Chances are they are gone. We could have at least gotten something for them. Same what happened with, I think you mean Cooks, not Coakley. 2 of those guys are hurt. And I think that was a pretty big factor in your whole conversation. There was also some pretty heavy financial incentives to not trade away Zack Martin. Brandin Cooks was the one that I would have really tried hard to shop to get anything back for because it frees up snaps for my younger rushers, especially if you traded for Jonathan Mingo. Like, what are you going to do when Cooks comes back? Who are you sitting between Mingo, Cooks, and Tolbert? Right? Tank, I think the injury was a huge factor there. Martin's got contract stuff that made disincentivized for you to trade him. But I do agree with the general philosophy of selling. Dwayne, what is your tier list for candidates, of head coach candidates for the Cowboys? We'll do a full video on that later this season / into the offseason. My number 1 guy is Ben Johnson. I don't know how likely it is he ends up getting hired because it's kind of not how the Cowboys tend to do business. If they want someone with head coach experience, someone like Mike Vrabel stands out to me. The downside there is, and Vrabel saw this firsthand, you have to get the offensive coordinator hire right. So now you're not just trying to get one coaching hire perfect. You have to get 2 perfect. That makes it a bit more challenging. There are several candidates that intrigue me overall. I just hope they do a real coaching search. We'll see what happens. Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Ollie. Clean, fresh nutrition for your dog in 5 flavors they will absolutely love. You don't have to be a vet to know that feeding your dog real, whole foods with minimal processing is one of the best choices you can make for their health. And right now, Ollie's offering a fantastic deal to let your pup taste test a personalized meal plan. Get 60% off your first box of meals when you use promo code ChatSports at Ollie.com. With no harmful fillers and preservatives, Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world. A perfectly portioned whole fresh food diet has been proven to extend your pup's life by 2.5 years. Who doesn't want more time with their best friend? I certainly want more time with my doggo Finn, who he's got a lot more gray around the face since we introduced baby Olivia, who's now almost 3 years old now, into his life. That's why we got him going with Ollie. Head to Ollie.com, tell them about your dog, use code CHATSPORTS, and you'll get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. That's OLLIE.com. Enter code CHATSPORTS to get 60% off your first box. They offer a clean bowl guarantee on their first box, so if you're not completely satisfied, you can get your money back. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Past 2 drafts have been terrible. I don't expect all pros from rookies, but only our center showed anything. Left tackle was ranked like 60. All it was just there. I don't know if he was ranked 60. I'm sure somebody did, but the consensus rankings certainly had him significantly higher than that. They kind of had him in the 30s, more or less. It was just the downside of where you were drafting. This year's class, I kind of like DeMarvion Overshown last year. I think we might be feeling a little bit better about it if one of your top defensive players didn't get hurt in Marshawn Nealon. BB's been up and down too, I think, this year. That's how a lot of it goes when you're drafting at the end of rounds. Mosman has been a pretty big disappointment so far. He was better last week, but the bar is still a very, very long way to go there. Luke Schoonmaker has been terrible. That's been real bad. He is barely playing at all for you. Junior Fehoko got cut, which is super frustrating. And when you don't address anything else except via the draft, it amplifies those misses. Mark says Tyler was a Shante Carver Pittman guy, a reach for need. I'd have BB at guard, Bass at center. Tyler moved to left tackle. That first-round pick could have been much better. Could have taken Graham Barton, like I wanted. He's been really good in Tampa, by the way. Bass also, I don't think really is a center. Like, try Hoffman at center, but I think you've made your picks on the offensive line. I would like to spend the rest of the year playing those guys where they've played. I saw Guyton get better last week before he got hurt, I guess 2 weeks ago. I want him to keep getting reps. He needs reps. Like, at this point, we can bemoan the picks all we want. That's totally fine. That's a safe space to do it. Don't get me wrong. But I want to see some growth across the board here. Mark again. I heard Jeanty is a generational guy. Is he that much better than the rest of the class? It's a deep running back class today. Is the wide receiver draft week this year. He is not the best player in this year's class. In general, I don't like the word generational because I think it's thrown around way too often. Because how many times in every draft class is, this guy's a generational player? Happens seemingly every year. That's not what generational means. It would be like every 20 years. The guy who plays as a first-round caliber wide receiver and a first-round caliber corner, that is a generational player because that doesn't happen. Like, if Travis Hunter only played wide receiver, he'd be a first-round pick, a top 10 pick. If he was just a corner, he'd probably still be the best player in this class. That doesn't happen. Chris Gamble played both ways. He was really just a corner. Champ Bailey played both ways, was kind of more just a corner. Miles Jack was just a linebacker. Haven't seen that guy in a long time. The receiver class, I think, has some depth, but it's not as top-heavy as necessarily some of the other years. Like, I like T-Mac from Arizona. I like Luther Burden. I wonder if those guys are more like fringe top 10 picks than clear-cut, locked, and loaded top 10 picks. Brooks Jones. Thoughts on Deion saying he doesn't want to coach the Cowboys? I believe him. He said it before. Now, there was some showmanship mixed in there with the interview. It's fine. That's how you're supposed to do it. Get the hype around your program. He's just doing his job as a recruiter. I don't think Deion's style, as he himself has said, translates that great to the NFL. The brand angle will always intrigue NFL owners. But I don't think he's a good fit at all for the Dallas Cowboys. So who do you want as the next Dallas Cowboys head coach? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I'd say no wrong answers. I doubt we'll get many wrong answers, but there actually are wrong answers for this one. So keep that in mind. $5 super chat from GH24. Here's another one that happens. Since we suck with second round, so we trade back our second round pick for more third/fourth round picks. I like it. You could also trade your twos every other year and get an extra first round pick as an idea. In general, I like the idea of trading down. The NFL draft is, you will never, no matter how good you are, bat 1,000%. You are going to miss picks. It's going to happen. It's impossible to get them all right. There's way too many variables that you just can't control when it comes to what is a crapshoot. Now, it's an educated guess crapshoot, so I would like to have extra draft capital because I am more likely to find 2 quality starters in the top 75 with 4 or 5 picks than I am with 3 picks. That's just math and odds. If you want to be a part of our Cowboys mailbags now and into the future, hit that sub button. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. Free videos every single day. $5 from Mark. I believe Nick could have been traded at one point. We kept him, then he left. We have so many holes, and he hit a home run round 1. Okay, so you're going back in the past. Okay, that's fine. I thought you meant someone this year. That's totally fine. I agree. You have a lot of holes. You need to hit round 1, home runs. We all knew when you drafted Tyler Guyton, it was a developmental player. It was the downside of maybe passing on someone who had a higher floor right now in Graham Barton. You hope he gets better as things go on, but you're right. When you don't address those holes in free agency, it's not just round 1 you need really good impact immediately. It's round 2, it's round 3, it's round 4, and that gets kind of hard to do because it's a bit of a crapshoot. Dwayne Jackson, why do the Cowboys have bad luck with drafted Michigan players? Look, talk about reaching on players. They reached on Luke Schoonmaker. That was a reach. They really, really wanted a tight end. Your head coach really wanted him, and they said, okay, we'll give you the tight end. They took the old hurt guy, who has been an old hurt guy in the NFL. Mozzie Smith has not developed the way you wanted to. The weight loss thing is still super weird. That's just unusual. And at this point, you kind of treat him as luxury more than anything else. To an extent, at least with Taco Charlton, you missed on the player or the person too. And that's unfortunate. Also, all those guys were back end of round 1 players. It's a bit different if you take someone in the earlier round 1 and never, ever, ever scout the helmet. It's just going to lead to failures because that's how you say you can't draft a Texas Tech quarterback. They've all been bad. That's not how it works. Caleb Charles, why not run a college offense like Broadus mentioned for Trey Lance? I actually did hear that from Broadus too. He makes very valid points. If you know what Caleb's talking about here. Run read options. Do some RPO stuff. Do play action vert shots. Use Trey Lance's legs. Run more of those 1-2, I'm scrambling type of stuff that you see a lot of colleges do. That's smart. That's what I would do if I were playing Trey Lance. That's not what Mike McCarthy has ever done. So it's a bad excuse. It's a bad reason. The reason is I don't think you have the play caller in place to do that. It's what you should be doing, but that would require Mike to make changes that he's been very reluctant to make over the course of his entire NFL career at this point. Who would you rather start at QB? TL for Trey Lance, CR for Cooper Rush. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Food review. You have pick 5. Trade down and get Jeanty and other picks. Go BPA or you go to the podium taking Travis Hunter. Shout out Josh Kelly from Texas Tech. Underrated. If I could get the number 1 player on my board at pick 5, as much as I love extra draft picks, I'm taking Hunter. I am plugging him in as my starting corner, and I'm going to deploy him on offense at wide receiver, 20, 25 times a game too. You know those 30 snaps Jalen Brooks gets a game on offense? They now go to Travis Hunter. And now, boy, you feel better about your offense, don't you? And you've got Diggs and Hunter and Bland for the short term at corner. You can trade one of them down line if you want to. Like, you're getting the best player. At 5, I have to do that. Now, if Hunter's gone and Abdul Carter's gone and it's, the tackles and Jeanty and maybe a Mason Graham in that conversation, I might start to look more at the trade down scenario at that point. It's a good question, Food Review, and once we figure out where the Cowboys will be drafting, we'll get to have those conversations with a bit more finality to them.